Hi, I'm Holly Jarosky, and I'm here with the Grundy Center Historical Society. And I'm here with Ronn Ross, and he is an avid horseman, and we're here to talk about the Grundy County Cowboys. Ron, can you just tell me a little bit about maybe how this organization got started?
Okay. Back in 1979, there was about 10 of us that got together. We needed a place to ride horses and break colts, and we all had the same interest. So we got together one afternoon, and through that year of 79, we came up that if we could get enough money together, we would try and put one up. And at that time, we were going to put it up at one guy's place. Well, we couldn't. Nobody really wanted it at their place because then we'd have guys pulling in all times of the night. So we went to the Grundy County Fair Board and proposed it to them, and they were in favor of it. And we told them that we would use it during the year, they could use it during a fair. So they got involved with it, and we told them we would tear down the old hog house building that was at the fairground that was falling in on itself, and that's where we put the new building, and that's kind of how it got started.
Okay. Can you tell us who was all the members of this organization and about how many?
Okay. Well, like I said, there was first 10 of us, and it ended up that we had 16 guys that were really involved, and we ended up with a total of 19 at the end of the couple years. But yeah, there was guys like Dwight Hildebridle and Jimmy Miller. He was our president. Harvey Meyer was the secretary, and I was the treasurer. And Roger Muller and Doyle Reeder, Mike Fries, and Scott Miller, Jay Stewart, Roger Mock, Bill Martin, Bob Ayers, Keith Miner. These are the guys that were really involved and really promoted this. And we ended up doing horse shows, and we had a good turnout with them. And we had guys that had some horses that were world champions that showed down there.
One specifically, right?
Blue Max was one of the ones, and he had a lot of offspring that were shown late throughout the years that we had this all done. And
what kind of horse was he?
He was a paint horse. Yep.
Okay. And who owned him?
Jim Miller.
Jim Miller.
Yep. Also, we had the Pony Express people from Waterloo, Cedar Falls area. They came to us one time, and we had an acquaintance with a few of them guys. They said, would you guys be interested in putting on a benefit for crippled children? And we said, yeah, we could do that. So we decided that we would have a dance. Well, it was in February that we got this all started, because at that time Easter was in March, at the end of March, so we wanted to make sure that we had enough money that we could give them a sizable check. So we went to Waterloo, went to Menards, and got a dance floor all put together. Had Milk and Honey, the well-known band, come down there. The worst part about it was cold, and we had the people in the band were playing guitars and stuff with gloves on. It was so cold in there. But we raised a little over $3,000 in 1981, that was. And so we took that down to crippled children down in Des Moines. Rode down there with the governor. We Pony Expressed all the way down. So wow. It was pretty interesting. We had a great time. But it was fun.
Now, when this first began, can you tell me who came up with the idea for the name?
Well, I came up with the name of the Grundy County Cowboys because of Red Steagle. We were down at a rodeo in Sydney, Iowa, and Red Steagle had a band called the Coleman County Cowboys. That was the name of his band. And after we got back and we got to talking about what we were going to call ourselves, I said, "How about the Grundy County Cowboys? We're all from Grundy County," so that's how it kind of stuck.
Started. And there was some discussion about forming this group during the centennial in Grundy Center. Can you tell me about the activity that you guys participated in?
I could tell you about one thing that we did when we did a bank robbery. Jim Beanfang, who was a bartender and tavern owner here in Grundy County, he was quite the promoter. And he said, "Would you guys be interested in robbing the Grundy National Bank?" We says, "Yeah, we'd do that. How are we going to do this?" And he said, "Well, I'll get the stuff." So he went to Bob High, who had the hardware here in town, and he had 38 pistols and blanks and stuff, and he set it up that we would go in, rob the bank. There was two of us, and Roger Muller and myself, and we had our mask on and stuff, and we got these two great big sacks of pennies that were in a paper bag, and Harvey Meyer and Bill Martin, they were the sheriff and the deputy, and we had a gunfight in the bank. We started shooting. We had smoke rolling everywhere. Ran out the back, jumped on our horses, took off up the street. And when we got to right up here at the Four Corners, we jerked the sacks, and them pennies went all over. And we had little old ladies and kids just scrambling out there in the street, stopped traffic and everything else right there on the highway. And needless to say, it was a free-for-all.
And this was 1979,
yep,
correct?
Yeah.
So that was the beginning.
77.
77.
At the Centennial.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
And this group that's when we kind of really started getting involved with the horses, and that's when everybody started saying, "Yeah, we really need a place to go in the wintertime, so we've got a little bit more protection than just riding outside."
Yes.
So,
can you tell me some of your special memories just from the group?
we had, in 1980, when the year we built the building, or had it built, we didn't build it, but we had it built. K-Van Construction from Iowa Falls did that, and it was Jimmy Miller's 50th birthday. So we had a big party down there and all those guys came down, and we had a lot of people from other towns that came in because they knew Jim and stuff, and we just had a great time. And then, like I said, later on when we thought, well, let's put on some horse shows to raise money for crippled children, which we did. We ended up having these horse shows, and then we ended up getting stalls and doing that. And those all had to be cleaned out. And that same group that I just mentioned, they were the ones that were there every time.
Okay. And you present it as kind of a hobby, but there were some amazing memories and career really that got started through this group.
Yeah.
And like your son.
Yeah.
And
our kids that we had, Scott Miller, he was a phenomenal rider, but he wasn't really involved with the horses like I'm sure Jim wanted him to, and he kind of got involved with the dogs and moved on to that. My son, who high school rodeoed, and he ended up getting a college scholarship through Northwest Missouri, and then transferred on to Oklahoma and got a scholarship there. That put him through college. And Todd Ayers, he's still showing to this day. He does a phenomenal job. He shows for some people over in Rhinebeck, and
okay. And we have on display this month all of the memorabilia from this group,
Yep.
including Ryan, your son's rope and dummy.
Rope and dummy, yeah.
And you want to tell a little bit about the story that with him in the barn?
Well, when he was, when he got that rope and dummy, when he was a freshman down at the national finals in Oklahoma, he said, "I'm going to practice with this dummy," and during the wintertime, he would go to the barn and he would rope, and he'd throw that rope and catch it. And he said to himself, "I'm going to catch 100 in a row." And if he missed, he'd start over. And he did that a lot of nights. And that's when he got good enough that when we would go to jackpots, they would call me and say, "Are you going to the jackpot?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going." And they'd say, "Is Ryan going?" And I says, "Yeah, he's going." Good. And they'd all want to rope with him because he very, very seldom missed. He was a heck of a header, and he's a heck of a cowboy.
Yeah.
He really is.
And he is in our Sports Hall of Fame.
Yes,
correct?
he is at school.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate you explaining a little bit about this group. And is there anything else that you want to add about your time together?
Well, I tell you what, I couldn't ask for a better bunch of fellas to be involved with. We had so many good times, did so many things together. Our families just all melded together over the years. I just can't say enough about the camaraderie we had.
And this is about a 30-year span.
Yep. In 1980, we, like I said, when we started the building, and then we had it for 15-year lease, and then the Fair Board let us lease it for another 15 years. And then after that, we lost about 3 or 4 guys. They passed on, and we just disbanded. So.
Well, it's a wonderful piece of history for Grundy Center, and I'm sure a lot of horsemen are happy that you had this.
Oh yeah, we had a good time.
It was probably the birthplace of a lot of horse lovers and
absolutely.
rodeo. Yeah. Well, thank you, Ronnie, for coming and talking about
You're welcome.
this.
Thanks, Ollie.
Yeah.